Ulysses was written by Alfred Lord Tennyson. The poem is divided into three parts. The first part is the thirst for adventure, which does not allow Ulysses to remain to his kingdom as a mere ruler. He disliked to be a king. He wanted to go beyond to the earth. So he wanted to put a full stop for his kingdom. So he was at the first part he told that thirst for adventure, not being a king. The second part of the poem is Ulysses handing over the responsibility to his son Telemachus. Telemachus was a very confident fellow and had an good ability to rule over the country with patience. So Ulysses planned to hand over his kingdom to the son Telemachus. The poem is Ulysses' clarion called to his sailors, urging them to venture into unknown lands. The thirsty of his adventure had begun in the third part, and how he had sailed all over the earth and what are the things he enjoyed in the traveling had been described in the third part. It is a dramatic monologue of blank verse. Let us see that poem Ulysses. Actually, Ulysses declares that there is a little point in his staying home by the still hearth with his old wife, doing out rewards and punishments for the unnamed Moses who lives in his kingdom. Now let us see line by line the poem Ulysses. The gist of the poem. Ulysses was the king of Ithaca, a great warrior and adventurer. He is unhappy to be the king. He gathers his men together to prepare for the journey and exhorts them not to waste their time left on earth. Ulysses has grown old, having experienced many adventures at the Battle of Troy and in the seas. He decided his kingdom to hand over to his son Telemachus. 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 He is confident his son ruled the country with patience. He is sure his son would pray to the gods and goddesses well punctually. He recalls his potential and conveys that there are untraveled lands to conquer. So Ulysses planned to go to traveling to the earth on earth. Actually, the theme of the poem is Ulysses' inquisitive spirit is always looking forward to move such adventures. Let us see the poem. Join with me and read the poem. The first line, it little profits that an idle king by the still hearth among these barren crags. Matched with an aged wife, I met and dole unequal laws unto a savage race, that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. Actually, it little profits that an idle king by this still hearth among these barren crags, matched with an aged wife, I met and dole unequal laws unto a savage race, that hoard and sleep and feed and know not me. The king Ulysses is telling us that a king gains nothing from just sitting around by the fire with his wife and making laws for people who don't even know him. Actually, the phrase it little profits is another way of saying no use. It is unusual. It is unbeneficial. It's not benefit. Mete means to allot or measure out. Here it refers to the king's allotment of rewards and punishments to his subjects. What a king will do, he will be giving a punishments or the rewards to the subjects. After that, he might have been enjoy with his food, and after that he will be enjoying with his old wife. That's why he did not like to be living like a ordinary king, an ideal king. Then unequal does not mean that the rewards and punishments are unjust or unfair, but rather variable. Here matched means what? No, does not refer to their tennis match or other sporting event. It means something like paired or partnered with. Ulysses' subjects are presented to us as a large group of drones who do nothing but eat and sleep. Only they will eat and sleep, and then they does not know who is the king. They don't know the face of the king. That's why the first 5 lines he described that he did not like to be an ideal king, and sitting with his wife and meeting the people unknowingly. See, that is a waste of his time. That's why he said that he did not like to be with the people of. He wants to go beyond his travel. That's why he told in this 5 lines, the king Ulysses is telling us that a king gains nothing from just sitting around by the fire with his wife and making laws for people who don't even know him. To the lees is a metaphor. It's a metaphor. I will drink life to the lees is a metaphor. In this one, poetic devices. Just make a note. Next one is Vext the dim sea. I am become a name for always roaming with a hungry heart. Much have I seen and known. Cities of men and manners, climate, councils and governments. Myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers. Far on the ringing plains of windy Troy, I am a part of all that I have met. Vexed the dim sea. Underline that. That is called as a personification. Vexed the dim sea, I am become a name. For always roaming with a hungry heart, much have I seen and known, cities of men and manners, climates, councils, governments. Myself not least, but honored of them all, and drunk delight of battle with my peers. For on the ringing plains of windy Troy, I am a part of all that I have met. Let us see now. In the previous lines, he said that he was elaborates on the good times and bad times he has enjoyed during his travels. Here he mentioned that I am become a name. What it mean by? It means something like became a household name. Ulysses has become famous because he has traveled to many countries, so many places. He has traveled to so many places. That's why he became a famous personality. Ulysses tells us that he has visited a variety of different places with different manners, different climates, different governments, etc. He met lot of people. He might have know the manners of the people. Lot. He portrays himself as a traveler with an insatiable desire, that is hungry heart. That is hungry heart means what? No, he want to know about the people more and more. He did not satisfied with a thing what he had. He had been going to the places and learning lot of things. He was developing his knowledge by traveling to other countries, and with an insatiable desire to see as many places as he can, try as many foods as he can, etc. he drank a lot of food, kind of different kinds of food had been ate by himself. That's why he told that myself not least, I did not take rest, myself not least, but honored of them all. He had been honored by them all. Why? Because of his thirsty heart, that is hungry heart. Here the poet says that the phrase myself not least but honored of them all means something like I was not treated like the least little thing, but he was honored by everybody I met. See how peculiarly he said that I did not be handled by or trained by a people of least. He had been honored by everybody wherever he goes. That is described by himself. And then he told that Ulysses also describes the time he spent on the ringing plains of windy Troy. Actually, he became a king after the war had been won by himself. That is a Trojan war. That is described by himself as a Troy, windy Troy. The famous city where the Trojan war took place. Here only the Troy is a name of the city where the Trojan war had been. The plains are ringing because of the armor clashing together in battle. See, I am a part of all that I have met is a strange phrase. Why he had been says this? Usually we say something like all the places I have seen are now a part of me. The phrase suggests that Ulysses left parts of himself everywhere he went. This sounds like another way of saying I don't belong here in Ithaca. That's why he said that I am part of all that I have met. Next lines. Yet all experience is an arch wherethro gleam that unravelled world, whose margin fades forever and forever when I move. How dull it is to pass, to make an end, to rest unburnished, not to shine in use, as though to breathe were life, life piled on life. In this line, Ulysses further justifies his desire to keep traveling and living a life of adventure. He compares his life or experience to an arch and describes the untraveled world as a place that gleams at him through that arch. All he has to do is walk through the arch. According to the poet, the first two lines of the passage are very tricky. One way to read untraveled world. It's a reference of it, death. It is always looking at him through the arch of his experiences, but somehow seems to recede as he keeps moving. So we can also think that untraveled world is an arch. As Ulysses moves, his experience make an arch covering the arch of the untraveled world. The more he travels, the more the margin or edges of that world reside and are covered up. Ulysses reiterates how boring it is just sitting around when he could be out exploring the world. He likes himself to some kind of metallic instruments that is still perfectly useful and shiny, but just rusts if nobody it's used. He compares his knowledge as like this. Knowledge should be always used, very used, and should be shiny. Suppose it not used at the particular time, it will be rusts, as like a metals. For Ulysses, life is about more than just breathing, it's about adventure. That is explained by him in this line. something more, a bringer of new things. And while it were for some 3 sons to sow, and hoard myself, and this grey spirit yearning in desire to follow knowledge like a shrinking star beyond the utmost bound of human. In these lines, Ulysses continues to radiate a desire for adventure, claiming that even multiple lifetimes would not be enough for him to do all the things he wants. At this point, though, he is an old man, a grey spirit. That means old man going to end of his life. Underline that he had described his age as to be old one, and he wants to make the most of what's left. It's waste of time for him to hang out in Ithaca for 3 years when his desire for adventure is still so alive. And the next one, we want to see that, but every house is saved, every hours is saved. From that eternal silence, something more, a bringer of new things is strange. Underline both lines, every hour is saved and a bringer of new things. It means something like each additional hour that I live, or each hour that I am saved from death, brings me new adventures, new experiences. 3 sons does not mean 3 days. It is but rather 3 years. Underline. Every day he had been describing himself not in a days, but he said it is a years. 3 years he had been Ithaca. After winning from Trojan War, he was mentioning that it is a waste of his time for some 3 sons to store and hoard myself. 3 sons means 3 years. The phrase follow knowledge like a sinking star is ambiguous. What it mean by, on one hand, Ulysses wants to chase after knowledge and try to catch it as it sinks like a star. Next, on the other hand, Ulysses himself could be the sinking star. That makes sense too. He is a great personality who is moving closer to death. That's why he said this, follow knowledge like a sinking star. One hand, he was chased after knowledge to try to catch a new thing. On the other hand, he himself could be a sinking star. That makes sense too. He is great personality. He is very close to death. That's why he said these words. In this line, actually, to store and hoard myself is a metaphor. It's a metaphor. Next, this is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I leave the structure and the isle, well loud of me, discerning to fulfill this labor by slow prudence to make mild a rugged people, and through soft degrees subdue them to the useful and the good. Up to the poem lines 1st to 32, the poet described the first part of the poem. As we told, he was desired to go to adventure. The next part of the poem had been started from this line 33, this is my son. Already we said that the second part he is going to handing over to his son Telemachus his kingdom. Now Ulysses introduces us to his son and heir Telemachus, who seems like the right guy to take over the job of king of Ithaca. He is smart, and he knows how to make his people do things without being too harsh about it. A scripture is a ceremonial staff that symbolizes authority. Ulysses means something like I leave him in charges. When compared with Ulysses, Telemachus seems a lot less restless. He has low prudence, meaning he is patient and willing to make the best decision for the people of Ithaca without being too hasty. So, he introduced in this line, "This is my son, mine own Telemachus, to whom I will leave the sculpture." Sculpture means, actually, it's a ceremonial stick, is called as a sculpture. "And the easel well loud of me, disowning to fulfill this labor." The people of Ithaca are very rugged, which means that they are a little uncivilized and uncultured. They are with a little bit of an attitude. That's why they need to be reined in, subdued, made mild, and put to good use. Soft degrees implies that Telemachus will civilize the citizens of Ithaca in stages and in a nice way. So, in this line, the poet describes as that his son is going to take part of a king after Ulysses went. Most blameless is he, centered in the sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness and pay, meet adoration to my household gods. When I am gone, he works his work, I mine. In this line, now Ulysses is going to tell us more about Telemachus' qualifications. Because he was very confident his son will be a good ruler to this Ithaca people. So, in this line he says that he most blameless is he. He is straight shooter all the way, a nice guy, centered in a sphere of common duties, decent not to fail in offices of tenderness and pay, meet adoration to my household gods. Decent not to fail means that Telemachus is smart enough not to fail at doing nice things for people and paying the proper respects to the gods. He prays gods and goddesses of their own to make the city well, to make the country well. So, he says this, in offices of tenderness and pay meet adoration to my household gods. Adoration means it's a deep love and respect is called as an adoration. So, he says that meet means appropriate or suitable. Meet adoration means appropriate respect will be given by himself to the god and goddesses of them. When I am gone, he works his work, I mine. When he has gone, when Ulysses has gone, most probably he will he is the suitable person to adore God of their own kingdom. We are not sure whether when I am gone means that Ulysses is planning on going back to sea for some more adventures, or if he is thinking about his own death. Anyhow, there are the indirect meaning in this line, when I am gone. Now he is going to do the adventure. But later he was telling about after death, definitely the confident of himself is his son will take part of give a good life to Ithaca people. That's why he says these words. According to this line, the qualifications and the ability of Telemachus had been described by himself. Then, next line, he says, fix our attention to the port of Ithaca. What is it now? The lines had been started with the great words, there lies the port, the vessel puffs her sail, there gloom the dark broad seas, my mariners' souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me, that ever with a frolic welcome took the thunder and the sunshine and opposed. Free hearts, free foreheads, you and I are old. Old age hath yet his honor and his toil. Actually, he was not satisfied of his kingly life. On the other hand, he was not ready to leave the people of Ithaca with irresponsible people. That's why he had been in the confusion stage. Later he had described this. He was going to hand over to Telemachus. He shifts his idea, our attention to the port of Ithaca, where he tells us a ship is preparing to set a sail. So now the vessel is a ship, puffs her sail. Puffs means just it was ready to preparing to set a sail. There gloom the dark. Here dark means it is appearing, going to end. Here it's a verb. That means appearing dark or scowling. There gloom the dark broad seas. My mariners here, the sailors. That ship engineers were called as mariners. My mariners' souls that have toiled and wrought and thought with me. Thunder and sunshine is used here to mean something like bad times and good times. They have gladly gone through thick and thin for Ulysses. The phrase opposed free hearts, free foreheads is a little tricky here. Ulysses means that his sailors opposed whatever came in their way. Thunder, for example, they did it as free men and with a lot of confidence. That ever with the frolic welcome took. Here, frolic welcome took means what? No? Play or move about. Frolic means play. Wrought means beaten out or shaped by hammering. Just they were beaten out, wrought, beaten out. Puffs means blows. The phrase opposed free hearts and free foreheads. They were not opposing, actually free hearts and free foreheads, you and I are old. Here you described his own followers, the free men, one who is ready to come along with him. Old age had yet his honor and his toil. When he was turning over to his old age, he was speaking that he suggested that even though old people are respected, they also have some responsibilities. Toil means hard work. See, my mariners' souls that have toiled and wrought. According to Ulysses, in this line, he was very busy to going along with his adventure. At the time he was describing that port of Ithaca was getting ready to set a sail of a boat. After that he said that his followers, his respectable people had been ready to face bad times and good times along with him. At last he said that old age has to be respected. Old age or respected. They also have some responsibilities to give more knowledge to this world. Next line so death closes all, but something ere the end, some work of noble note, may yet to be done, not unbecoming men that strove with gods. The lights begin to twinkle from the rocks, the long day wanes, the slow moon climbs, the deep moons round the many voices, with many voices. Come, my friends. Now, Ulysses described that he knows that death will end everything, but he still believes he can do great things, things worthy of men who fought against the will of the gods during the Trojan War. Death closes all means what? No, definitely death is an end of everything, but something here the end. Here means here before. It's a poetic word, old poetic words. Ulysses observed the sunset and the arrival of night, but it seems like he has thinking about his own death as well. It reminds us of ghosts or people mourning a death. Lights begin to twinkle from the rocks is an elegant way of saying the stars are coming out. It's a elegant way. He was telling that the night time comes to meet themselves. The long day wanes. The day that is daytime had gone. The slow moon climbs. Now night came. The deep moons round with many voices. The deep moons means night time. At the dark time, the many voices. Say there is a special voice for a darkness. That's why he said that the deep mourns. Mourns means here sadness. The deep mourns rounds with many voices. Now he was calling his friends, "Come, my friends, let us go for adventure." So with this mourn voice, he described that death is not that. Death will end everything. Before it, we have to achieve our adventure that is given by himself. Come, my friends, it's not too late to seek a newer world. Push off and sitting well in order smite. The sounding furrows for my purpose holds, to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. It may be that the gulfs will wash us down. It may be we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Again he had been started in the 56th line. Come, my friends. Now he was addressing his friends. He tells them what he has been telling us all along. It's never too late to go in search of new lands. Here he was making that the sounding furrows. Furrows is a mark made in the water by the ship. When the ship moves, there was a marking on water that is called as a furrow. It refers to the track or mark made in water by the ship. He tells a sailor to smite or strike it, most likely with the oars. The sounding furrows for my purpose holds, to sail beyond the sunset and the baths of all the western stars until I die. What is the purpose can mention here is two different things. It can mean either destiny, that is death, or as I intended to sail as far as I can. He was very intended to sail as far as he can. That's why he said that there are two purposes. My purpose holds. One is two different things we can think that. One is before going to death, I achieve the adventure. Then second one is I'm going too distance from Ithaca to enrich my knowledge. That is the thing Ulysses was thinking and saying. The baths of all the western stars is not a place where the stars to go to bathe themselves. Actually, it was not going to baths. The stars are not going to baths in all the western stars. But he says like that. It refers to the outer ocean or river that the Greeks believed surrounded the earth. They thought the stars descended into it. The stars descended into it. That's why they have said it. Outer ocean or river that the Greeks believed to surround the flat earth. To sail beyond the bath means Ulysses wanted to sail really far away beyond the horizon of the known universe until he dies. The happy isles refers to the island of the blessed. The next line he says that it may be we shall touch the happy isles. It's an island of blessed, a place where big time Greek heroes like Achilles enjoyed perpetual summer after they died. We can say that is a heaven. Happy isles means Greek people's heaven. And see the great Achilles whom we knew. Achilles, one of the great Greek hero. He fought for Greek people and achieved lot of success. In his olden days, he died with the people of British. Before it, he fought for his own country and brought lot of treasure to the Greek people. So they all believe, Greek people will believe Achilles is a great king of Greek. So he too also was living in a happy isles after death. So he said that after finishing all the works, we shall touch the happy isles and see the great Achilles whom we knew. Ulysses realizes that he and his companions might die, but he said he is ready to face it. If they die, they might even get to go to the happy isles and visit their old friend Achilles. What it mean by? Definitely what they are going to do is really a good one. The people who had done good things will go to heaven. So they believe that he and his friends are going to heaven to meet Achilles. They said in this line. Lines of the poem is now. Though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now that strength which in olden days moved earth and heaven, that which we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. In this line, Ulysses tells us yet again that even though he and his sailors are old and don't have a lot of gas left in the tank, there is enough left to go to a little further. Abides, that means what? No, abides means, that means remains. These guys are a team with one heartbeat. They are old and broken, but they still have the will to seek out and face challenges without giving up. Here he used the phrase, strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not yield, which means that something like we are strong. They are very strong because of our will to strive. Will means their power, their knowledge, their confidence to strive is very, very strong. So they did not leave the idea to go beyond the places. So he tells us that even though he and his sailors became old and they don't have a lot of strength, only little bit is there, even though he was not ready to go anywhere at all. One equal temper of heroic hearts, they made themselves to go beyond from the places. So only he said that it is a good lines he said by himself, though much is taken, much abides, and though we are not now that strength which in olden days. See how well he described these three parts in this poem. It's a great lesson for us. We should not leave our ambition till our end of our days. So life can give lot of lessons to us. Every lesson should be used by ourselves well. When the good times comes, we want to learn from it. When bad times comes, we want to face in our life. A good lesson was given by Ulysses in this poem.